This is what ICE does. This is what these terrorists do to babies.
Mama, you okay, Mama? You okay? You okay, Mama? You okay, Mama?
So that right there is something that should absolutely make everyone's blood boil. What was that? Well, in Cicero, Illinois, Customs and Border Protection decided to terrorize a family with a baby in the car. Now, in just what is the latest example of what happens when you give militarized agencies carte blanche to operate on American soil with no accountability. And yes, I said militarized because that's exactly what they are. That's what DHS and Border Patrol have become under the Trump regime. So I'm going to give you an example of what happened, right? According to the Daily Beast, Rafael Veraza and Evelyn Herrera were driving home from a Sam's Club with their 1-year-old daughter, Arianna Sofia, in the car. Now, note that they weren't protesting, they weren't causing any trouble, they weren't doing anything. They were just existing while brown in America, and apparently that is a crime. Too much for Customs and Border Patrol, okay? And their commander, Gregory Bavino, and his goons. So you had a federal officer in a black vehicle, okay, and I want you to picture this, shooting pepper spray directly into the window of their car on the road where there's a baby, a 1-year-old, got pepper sprayed in the face by federal agents. That's insanity. Now, of course, DHS has an excuse, right? Oh, no, our agents were being stalked, everybody, in the parking lot. What? Stalked? They were coming back from grocery shopping. That's not stalking. No, that's called being followed by paranoid agents who see threats where none exist. And get this, DHS, they made 9 arrests that day. 8 of them were U.S. citizens. 8 American citizens arrested for what? Existing while Latino in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's what's going on. But again, this is not an isolated incident. No, it's what happens when you normalize treating entire communities as if they are enemy combatants. When you give agencies like DHS and Border Patrol the green light to operate like occupying forces in American cities. Now think about what this represents. We've got federal agents who think it's totally fine and appropriate to pepper spray a baby because they got their feelings hurt about being allegedly stalked by a grocery shopping trip. These are the same agencies that have been deployed against protesters, against journalists, against anyone who dares to speak out against this administration. And let's be clear, right? This wasn't even about immigration enforcement. This family wasn't on their radar. They weren't targets. According to the report, neither parent is an immigration target. So what was this about? Sending a message about making sure that brown-skinned Americans know that they could be terrorized at any moment for any reason by federal agents who will face 0 consequences for their actions. Now, here's where I am going to have to address something that some of you might not want to hear. This is not just a problem that started with Trump. Yes, it's what happens when you militarize immigration enforcement and give DHS and other agencies like it unlimited power to operate on American soil. The infrastructure for this abuse was built long before Trump had taken office. Remember, DHS was created after 9/11 to try to keep us safe. Of course, they haven't. Okay. What it has done is, well, create a massive surveillance apparatus. And there's a lot of corporations that are, involved in that. Palantir being one of them. That's primarily used to terrorize immigrants and communities of color. But I remember Muslims in New York being profiled and being spied on long before Trump got into office. Okay? And so, look, this has been a long-standing problem. And since then, by the way, Border Patrol, since its creation, Border Patrol and ICE have been getting increased levels of funding. And as a result, of course, you had deportations that increased. Look, under Obama, there's a reason Barack Obama was called the deporter in chief. Okay? And of course, under the Biden administration actually had deported more people than the first Trump administration. Okay? And that said, they weren't quite as brutal under those administrations, but definitely more brutal under Trump. And Trump, thanks to Republicans, the big beautiful bill, they massively got funded. Okay? I mean, that bill gave them more money than the entire militaries of smaller countries. Okay? And Trump has said, go ahead and be as brutal as possible. Trump, Stephen Miller. Okay? So now, what do we do? Well, first, we got to stop pretending that this is about law and order. It ain't. Law and order isn't pepper spraying babies in the face. This is about authoritarianism. And it's right here. It's happening right in plain sight. Secondly, we have militarized these agencies. We got to get rid of that. Okay? We must defund ICE. We must demilitarize the police and these agencies. DHS, Border Patrol, ICE. They're not keeping us safe. It's true. They're creating a climate of fear that serves no one except for those who want to maintain power, their power through intimidation. And third, we need accountability. Okay? Gregory Bovino and every agent involved in this incident should face criminal charges. A 1-year-old baby was chemically burned by federal agents. Why is that not a federal crime? That should be prosecuted as such. And again, finally, we need to stop treating this as if it's a partisan left versus right issue. It's not. It's about whether we live in a country where federal agents can terrorize families with impunity. Now, I understand, too, that this is exhausting. I know it's absolutely overwhelming to keep track of all the ways that this administration, this regime, and its agencies are attacking our communities. I know, but stories like this, where you have a baby that was pepper sprayed while her family was coming home from a grocery shopping trip, this is what authoritarianism looks like in practice. Look, we're not at concentration camps or well, actually we are. We are at the concentration camps and mass deportations. But authoritarianism also looks like this, okay? About a family trying to live their lives, okay? When federal agents decide that, yes, they need to be taught a lesson about who really has power in this country. That's what the federal agents have decided that they want to do. Arianna Sofia is going to grow up knowing that the U.S. government thought it was appropriate to shoot her in the face with chemicals because her parents had the audacity to exist while being Latino in America. That should horrify everyone, regardless of their political party. Now, the question is, of course, are we going to keep accepting this as normal? Or are we going to start demanding better? Because I, for one, am pretty tired of living in a country where babies get pepper sprayed by federal agents. And the response is, well, they were up to something. No, it's not justice. It's not safety. It's fascism. And it's happening right in front of our eyes.